What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Replay City. This is Bandido, and how y'all doing today? So, as you see here, we're playing in Gen 9 random battles. Well, we already played. That's why it's hence the name called Replay City. And Replay City is where we play replays of previous battles that I have attempted to record or tried to record, but wasn't able to due to unforeseen circumstances. So as you see here, this is a tournament that I have played, and it was ran by a person named Ninten, one of the members that Quill, my good friend, my very close friend of mine, has helped host it and everything, and tried to get that through, and personally tried to invite me to it. And the whole idea was, of course, Quill knows how good I am playing the game and stuff like that, but of course, Ninten was I was asking questions just in case because I'm the pro, I'm this, I should be helping out with that. And I want to say this. As you see here, here's our matchup. We're round one versus Quinn. What about this idea is with Quinn is we previously played in the tournament and everything, and we have played and have lost 0-2. But this is my own format, this is what I play. And of course, they were like, oh, they thought that Quinn was going to win because he was a gamer. But of course, he gets that. But let's move on to the game and we'll see what we can do from there, baby. Let's get it. All right, as you see, I lead off Reshiram, then lead off Dreadnought. So in my mind, I knew in this way that Dreadnought was going to be something. I knew in this way that they would obviously go for Shell Smash, knowing my style of gameplay is kind of similar to Quinn's, playing more fast and flashy. So I did that. We went for Shell Smash, obviously, and boom. So I knew in this mindset that, of course, they have White Herb and everything. But, of course, as you see here on my low filter and stuff, this is the extension to where you see everybody's sets. So I did ask, Ninten the question, hey, what do you think is a good idea if we would have this going on? And like it was strongly ill against, and that but he didn't really care. So like, you know what? Screw it. I'm at work, and the thing was, the whole backstory is that I was at work. This match going on right here is right after my lunch break and everything. And as you see, we do that. I CC, knock out the Dreadnought. And at this point, they were like, yeah, that is a smart move, this, and this. And they were realizing, oh, why is he bullet punching? Because I thought the way of, what everybody's doing is they're playing sensible and that they would just knock him out. But of course, Quinn did that. Life Orb and Brave Bird did that. So, you know what? I'm a Thunder with the guy eventually coming in. That was the thing I had. Knocked out that. Doing the cargo. I thought, you know what? Thunder will be nice. Getting the paralyzation. Nice. The yawn. I didn't mind. Swapped out guaranteed. They do the rain, and of course, Lava Bloom doing barely minimal damage. So I thought Weather Ball would be good. And funnily enough, they got their own Kyogre, the better rain Pokemon. But they went for Terra Water, boom, doing that. And as you may have noticed, I haven't Terra'd yet. That's the neat part. I haven't Terra'd yet because I knew it was not time and a place, and I have my own numbers on my side. So I have one turn left of that. Of course, Weather Ball, Bop, doing about 68% on that front. Getting rocks up, which it's kind of a late situation for the likes of for of course Quinn having that. Thunder is gonna do that. No Perilous, but I knew this is enough because Sticky Web and stuff was not very useful. Iron Head, and of course we are Bombardier. Bombardier is stupidly broken, and boom, we knock out the Bronze Zone with leftovers of knockoff. There it is. My cargo's there. I went for Stone Edge for Rocky Payload stuff, and fortunately I missed and get of course, the Power Gem. And now, of course, rain happens, and Weather Balls did not get the Cargo, and was hoping the last mon is going to be something. And it went Espeon, so they called mine. And of course, I went for Weather Ball, and I want to apologize to Quinn for the critical hit for game number 1. But, in my opinion, for game number 1, reflecting on this, Quinn had a very scary team compared to my Gavantula, my Reshiram. Reshiram ain't going to do much against Espeon, but I had that, and I don't remember the last Pokemon, but I knew it was kind of weak to Espeon. So I knew I had to take down the Espeon before it was too late. Or had the Gavantula wake up before the Espeon, since no, it was not. I can't really wake it up because it was too slow compared to Espeon. So I wasn't able to do that. But of course, luckily I won game number 1. We went to game 3 and he didn't get the crit, so fortunate on my graces. But let's move on to game number 2, see what we can do from there. And game number 2, we start off with the game without sound. There's the Decidueye's there, Volcanion's there. And the smart play I did was, of course, the obvious play. I went to Altaria, which is my dragon type Pokemon. With that, and I went Flamethrower. I went Earthquake for obvious damage against that because I knew Earthquake, Dragon Resist, and all that stuff. And I got burnt. So my idea was I roost off the damage to get rid of the get rid of that. And I knew a Pokemon was there I could absolutely sweep this man with a Pokemon. I just needed to wait out my turns and play for opportunities. So that's what I did. I wait out. 5 turns left with that. I went Roost, which is kind of one of those things. And I went Earth Power. Very smart. I knew in my mind Quinn was a very smart player. It's just he was very inexperienced. And that's kind of my opinion about it. He was probably obviously the best player in my opinion. But as you see, Carbing's there. And I almost threw the game away for game number 2 because Blizzard has a 10% chance to freeze on Iron Defense over speed boosting. Obviously, the play was supposed to be speed boost, then go for the defense. But I played my out. I was very lucky and got myself the fortunate body press. And as you see, Love This is there. Boom, body press knocks out. And as you see, what most veterans deal with is they get absolutely obliterated by stuff like this. And they have nothing else they can really do. Just don't let the Pokemon get set up. And that's what it kind of happens. But as you see, Koraidon's there. Of course, all his Pokemon's going down, which I feel bad for him because he felt very frustrated about it as I kept recovering. Chi-Yu is there. So basically fighting Pokemon are really weak. No, Pokemon are weak to Fairy and fighting. And of course he forfeits, which was a very sensible move. And I thought, you know what? It's kind of thing. And he was frustrated. So I can understand where Quinn was coming from. Reviewing the game, I almost threw the game away. If I had got frozen, then the game was a whole lot harder. But I mean, kind of how it is. He got lucky about certain things. So it's kind of my fault technically. I got absolutely almost got obliterated by Blizzard and stuff. But yeah. So we move on to round number 2. Winners round 2. Top 8 still because they have a losers bracket round 1. But let's see what we can do from there, baby. We'll be right back with our set number 2. Let's see. Round number 2. We're facing off against an opponent named Pixelcube, which is a relatively unknown player that I've never met. As you see, we have Iron Crown, and then we went to go to Politoed for game number thing. And as you see, Ninten, and right there, he's this little thing. Don't hate on him. He's a really genuine. He's nice and everything. Of course, I slept the Raichu for turn number 2, having the blue flare on the Politoed switch. But yeah, as you see, Surf, and then wake up number 2. So we had a lot of gameplay going on, but what happened was Ninten realized, yeah, he's probably doing something he's not supposed to, or whatever. I'm rooting against Bandido the whole entire time, and I'm like, you know what? And then the whole context was Ninten is a very, not say mob, like he has his friends and stuff like that, and it may not be very popular with other people. So it's kind of where I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like I'm like iffy. I'm like, I didn't really care about it, but I just thought, it's fun. But of course, having Brave Bird, stuff like that, and it'll all be pretty fun. So that's how it was. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I lost that team's generation. I'm thinking for Pixelcube because the whole thing was that of course Halucha's being a broken Pokemon, obviously. But what happened was I was playing nice because I actually saw the turn right there, close combat on the Earth Power, thinking that they would switch out. I would switch out. What I could have done was in this turn was went for Encore and then kept Swords Dancing until I won the game with Blaziken and all that stuff. So that's kind of a thing. I mean, I'm glad I kind of let that through. I mean, kind of at least let them play the game a little bit rather than absolutely breaking their confidence, which is something I normally would do back then. But I'm like, you know what, now I should not be playing like a and of course having fun. And this is a very lower skill level tournament. I don't did because I mean, am I really the butthole for this? But of course, this is a round two matchup. I won guaranteed, and I had like 5 Pokemon left. I thought it'd been, I had full 6 Pokemon left, so I'm like, you know what? I'm not playing like a you know what. I'm gonna do this and win the game efficiently. All I want to do is win the game. That's the main thing why I want to play the game. Win the game. Yeah, let's get to game two without any trouble. Let's see what we can do from there, baby. As you see for game number two, this is the game that I really remember the most. And that's because the Titan and everything. And the whole idea from this is that I have a really, really fat team compared to Pixel. Well, very fat. And of course, I got absolutely red by the likes of that. But I didn't think about it at the time. But maybe Pixel had the extension, probably thinking about it because of recommendations, but may or may not. But I mean, there's water under the bridge. I mean, it's already over. It's been about a week or so since the last game that's played. So that, and I got absolutely obliterated by Pixel. So that's well played on their front. So I'm happy about that. At least I can say at least I got outplayed by Pixel. So that was that. At least I got outplayed, and that's kind of how I lost the game. Because from there, I got absolutely obliterated. And basically, all it was now was me stalling the rest of the game. 30 on 30 on 30, having that. And as you see, we played really slow, obviously. Because that's the main issue. I had to play slow to get myself to catch up from the competition. And as you see, Lunala, all that stuff happened and had that through. But the whole thing is, I got my medicine, caught myself. So like, oh God, please stop doing this. It's like it's like this most infuriating way of going out, and I'd say that's completely fair because you know I'm playing my own way out, but it feels disrespectful. Even though then I let them get the kill, this, and this. So trying to progress to it's a Titan, and the whole idea was I wasn't intentionally stalling, and I know they're aggravated about it as you see. Let's go over scream, all scream. And I was trying to say, hey, yeah, and I was like, look, I'm sorry for the stall. I'm trying to end it fast. Ending it fast means a Titan. So Pixel, if you're watching this steal from this video from this random YouTuber that you have played against a couple weeks ago, the whole idea was from this game was wish on Screamtail, go to the Titan, and sweep up the rest of the game with the Titan, with of course against the Braviary, of course Apollyon, Braviary, Lunala, no, Necrozma, and of course Weezing. That was the entire plan rather than dealing with this crap. So I want to apologize to the likes of Pixel for this. So that 5 more turns. So yeah, so it's kind of one of those things. I'm sorry to Pixel that I made you waste your time. And of course, at this point, Nintendo hates fairy types, and he hated me playing the game like how I was. So I'm like, you know what? Playing my outs, and I'm trying to play as best as I can. I can't win this game, so I need to think about my ideas of what I did wrong and how would I improve. So it was that, and not only that, but hopefully don't get outplayed like I did in game number 3. So I knew from the turn and the jump and everything to have that. So the worst way for this to end. And because that was the main thing, is letting them do that. And they were complaining that, hey, this is a very bad way to end. They thought it's not very good for the game. And a good friend of mine, Sam's words is that this is pure singles. You will have defensive gameplay. And they're all debating about a 50 turn game because I was playing really defensive, playing smart, and they did not like the fact that I was playing really strategically rather than trying to go out and go, which is that's what I've been done a couple months ago and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it was. But let's move on to game number 3, and as you see, this is the final game of the series, and you see they go Go-Go. So in my mind, I knew that Go-Go had Sap Sipper, guaranteed, because of course nobody likes Grass Pal, as it could have fun free, no way of respect, I was like, you know what? I'm equivalence twice, not be greedy. And of course, I was, of course, chlorophyll, my bad. Or horn leech. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do this equivalence again for turn 3 and do that. They rock slide, boom, you get that. I got Lefty's chip. It goes to Viper, which is their, Pokemon. I'm gonna Terra Fairy just in case when the Moonblast did knock out the likes of Go-Goat. Of course, special attack drop. And kind of like, you know what? I know I'm not gonna risk myself dealing with the gunk shot, so I did that. Poison them as Magius was unfortunate, even though we were Life Orb. So, and the idea was I hate Life Orb. Oh, and they were trying to. Okay. So what Pixel was trying to do is predict a switch. They're like, oh shoot. I was like, I'm so stupid. I'm guessing they were trying to predict the switch, but they probably realized, no, it's not a. And they were, I don't know what they're trying to predict the switch. Either they're trying to predict the switch and like they feel stupid that they didn't do the normal move, or they feel stupid because they're relatively new to the game. So they do that. I Shadow Ball on the Toxicity, then that drop, and then Overdrive knocks me out. So that was amazing on that front. I'm glad I had that. Azelf is there, Psyshock's there, and the Teacher Bros Posse items are there. So, I mean, I like Azelf having this item rather than, say, Ursaluna. I'm still going to dog Caterpie about that. Fire Blast knocks out Go-Goat, which is basically breaking his team entirely open. I decide Psyshock's there, doing 83%. Of course, the Ice Beam. And of course, from there, Blossom does his thing. Of course, I would probably not have that if I do that. So, Equivalence for the first turn to be guaranteed faster than the Whiscash. Being an obvious move, doing this, getting the full heal off. That's basically that. And basically, Nintendo realizes, yeah, he's probably going to be a favorite of the series, favorite in the series. And not only that, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it gets very dangerous with me coming into the game. So, of course, I full heal, get rid of the Whiscash, and at this point, +2/+2. And, of course, knowing that basically they're really weak to grass. So their end part, it was really weak to grass, and I kept the Blossom and played smart. So that's what they did. And, of course, Pixel lost the series. So in this game, I played really well in the capacity of trying to finish off the game quickly to finish the series. And there you go. I mean, that's how it was. I think Pixel was not surprised about, how I got beaten out, but they felt disappointed after the second game, even though they won. And I think they probably were mentally tired out from the thing, but I'm not too sure because it's, what they did is in their own mindset. But I played to my outs and I won the game because I swapped out Blossom, playing smart against the Viper, and swapped to Miss Maggie, which was a resist. But yeah, let's move on to the next round. Next round is winners finals because this is a person bracket of 8 instead of 16. So let's see what you can do from there, baby. All right, this is this is round number 3, which is basically, of course, top 4 or top 6. I don't know which one it was, but it's definitely that round where between me and Farf, we made it from each side of the bracket. And of course, speaking of Farf, I never met Farf before, but I've kind of seen them play their game, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're playing pretty good, but I never seen it. I don't think that they lost to Sierra. No, they didn't. But having that through, Farf is playing really well, and I realized they were kind of a favorite to win if I lost. But let's get to game number 1 and see what we can do from there. As you see, Hackers is there. And, coming into a time like this, I was helping out a customer. That's why I probably delays and stuff like that. It's because of that. But at this point, Nintendo was literally rooting for anybody that plays against me. And I'm not saying like this because I mean, Nintendo has its biases. Everybody does. And I'm guessing I was a favorite. He thought I was cheating or whatever, so he wanted me to lose, which is completely understandable. Which, coming from this, I was playing on my phone. My phone is there. I'm waving it around. I mean, it's podcast or whatever. I'm waving around, but I was at work playing on my phone, and basically, Nintendo thought that I was playing on my computer when I was at work. So, and I literally said, look, have fun, do this, and of course, the whole idea was, of course, having Haxorus and Sin. And Sin was there in case it went Poltergeist. Not really body press, but Poltergeist. So in that, it went Terra Fighting. It went to a Poltergeist, which was kind of the idea. I went Poltergeist on my own on the Roar, which Farf was like, oh yeah, roar dogs. Yeah, there's Poltergeist again, doing about another 40%. Even though they killed me after the second turn, which is pretty understandable, but at least I almost exhausted their entire resource of that. And they went for Shadow Sneak. And I thought the sensible move was getting Scale Shot off because no matter what, I'll guarantee a speed boost and a Swords Dance later. They went to Electivire, which was, I was like, you know what, it's better off to get him Intimidate off or not want to get an Ice Punch, which they did. Got the Life Orb chip, it's Empoleon on the swap and literally got me decimated, which was incredibly smart. So I thought that, and they went Rocks Up, and I'm like, my bad because I was at work and stuff. I went Shed Tail, which Shed Tail is a move that is actually banned from standard play and everything. So I just got busy with work. Minton didn't read that, so he thought, oh, whatever. So I literally said, hey, I was at work. But of course, Shed Tail, speaking about that, Shed Tail is only exclusive to, oh, in pre DLC, it was only exclusive to Cyclozar, which was banned at the time, and of course, Earthworm. The main thing it was there to shout out strategies like basically setup. It made setup really, really easy to play with. So, that's why it got banned. As you see here, there gets Mess Spirit, and of course, I went that. Even though I get hit by rocks and Mold Breaker, I decided Swords Dance up because of whatever. Even though Substitute and everything gets hit by the noise or whatever, which sound moves. Scale Shot to knock out the Mess Spirit. Of course, that I knew it would have KO'd because, of course, 5 hits and everything and all that stuff. But it is what it is. So I got rid of that, noise thing. And of course, I went Earthquake and the Empoleon. Knocked out. But the big benefit is, of course, Donphan's there. Ice Shard, got rid of the sub. And of course, I went to go for a Scale Shot. Of course, I thought it would have killed, but unfortunately, it did not. And hit 4 times, so I wasn't able to do that. I swap out to Incineroar, try to pivot out and try to do that. Ice Shard's the guaranteed move. Predicted really easily, but I mean, there's nothing really else I could try to do to get that through. Knock off their Assault Vest, which is obviously a good item on the Donphan. Go to Hastros again for a sacrifice. Pretty much a smart move as a Earthquake on the Incend, so very nice. And a Life Orb chip. So I thought, you know what? I'll go to my Overquill. It was again my returns at the time, doing that bulk up. And I think it would have killed if the bulk up defense did not increase. So the Earthquake knocked me out. And then basically what, you know what? Incense probably there. I'm going to Intimidate, doing barely anything, and then just fake out to knock it out. Boom. There's that. And they finally have my ball stiff. So they play rough. I'm like, you know what? Not this idea. U-turns there. And of course, Earthworm is the final Pokemon I decide to reveal. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? They can't really do anything with play rough. And then we're like, yeah, that's good games after that front. So that was a very good game on my front. I played well on that idea of setting up to win. The only thing I could have done better was, and there's nothing really could do better rather than say, knockoffs and stuff like that. This is played fine. The only thing I could have done was, not let it happen too soon and let the Earthworm sweep up the team. But I mean, knowing how someone had Roar, I mean, there's nothing else I could really do. So let's move on to the second game, and it gets super scary. So as you see, get Rotom Wash, have this Kyurem Black, get Black, not Kyurem Black, Kyurem White. So Kyurem White is the better Kyurem of the two. But as you see, we swap out to Sableye. They freeze dry, doing about 45%, 46 at the least. That was super scary. So I'm like, you know what? Knockoff's going to get rid of his item, which was Choice Scarf. Which was like, oh, I thought it was Specs. And I'm like, yeah, it's 170 special attack. Why do I think it's Specs? So I swap out to Vespiquen, which is kind of the Pokemon that's been kind of the big thing. Drop the Draco. Got my special attack drop. Fusion Flare, barely doing anything. I roost up the damage and getting the bug type. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep on doing this. And they went Cinderace. Toxic on the Cinderace, which is pretty good. And I think they U-turn trying to pivot out to get damage. I decided to go Kyurem White again. Air Slash is probably the move. The best probably move would have been was to Toxic and then do that. So because Toxic would have wore them down rather than Air Slash. So it was not really the best move. As well, there was an attempt. So yeah. And the thing was, I was stalling out the likes of, say, of a freeze dry and stuff like that. It was kind of one of those things where I'm trying to stall out freeze dries and fusion flares, and they ran out of fusion flares and stuff. So Air Slash critical hit doing 65%, and they were all impressed about the B, even though it got knocked out by a Pyro Ball like that. But of course, almost getting KO'd. Psyshock knocking out the likes of the Cinderace. Sceptile was there, and Sceptile doing amazing damage, doing 71% on a life orb hit, doing that much damage, doing 67. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go Dragology. Dragology gets quad resist on the thing and gets an absolutely crazy amount of damage, even though it does that. So that and Earthquake. So it's basically life orb for attacks. So I couldn't really do much about it. Knocked out the Sceptile and got that. So what did I do? I sacked off the Dragology, which was not the best move in my opinion at the end. I thought it was a good move depending on the set, and of course Toxapex was a very good decision on my front. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy I made that decision to not get myself in a position to get screwed over. And it was like, and of course Farf was like, screw my life. I can't believe this happened. Of course, as out absolutely obliterating Pokemon, so and it saved lives there, and Will-O-Wisp burning it. So I'm like, yeah, this is probably my best move, knocking out the Sableye. And then, of course, we get a Rotom, Hydro Pumping, knocking out the Garchomp. And I realized I was Scarf. I go Spectrier because that was the last mon. I'm like, yeah, that's probably my best move. Setting up and it Calm Mind. I'm like, yeah, I need to get a second one to not get myself absolutely obliterated. And of course, unfortunately from that, I get Hyper Voice crit, which guaranteed me the loss. And as you see, I couldn't do nothing but Rotom Walk. Doing that, they go for Hyper Voice, doing a 2-hit KO. And as you see, Rotom Walk get the last turn. And unfortunately, we get lose game number 2. And game number 3, like, oh yeah, we ball. And I was like, game GG's for game 2 because I knew it was not over. So let's see what we can do from there. So our final game in the series, as you see, we got Grimmsnarl, we got Regieleki, and you see Thunderbolts there. And I'm like, yeah, this is probably a good move. Go this, drop a Spectral Attack for potential in case they do go for a fast move. And Sucker Punch to knock out the Eleki in case they went for screens. And they forgot, yeah, this is what should have known. This is my set. So I had that on Apple Diplin. I remember I had Dragon Tail, but the idea was try to stall out the Ursaluna and stuff. Had that through. Mega Drain's there. Had the thing to stall out. But my biggest mistake was if I did have. Oh yeah. I don't think I had Dragon Tail. It was more Dragon Pulse. Let me see the set. Yeah, it was not. Yeah, it was Dragon Pulse, not Dragon Tail. I think I had that and Sucker Punch, I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing instead of Dragon Tail. If I had Dragon Tail, I would probably been the stupidest person in the world trying to recover. Oh yeah, no. If I had the chance, I had the chance to do it. So I didn't have Dragon Tail. I had Sucker Punch. That's my best thing. Because if I had Dragon Tail, then I would have definitely tried to get rid of Ursaluna. I'm not literally that stupid to do that. So I knew I had Sucker Punch. I went Terra Fighting on the boulder with CC. So in this play, I thought, whatever. I think I would have KO'd Ursaluna if I had without that. But I was like, you know what? I need to make the guarantee. So I did that. So boom. Even though it was not really the smartest decision, as boom, Comfey comes out. I had my cargo. Of course, Draining Kiss had that happen. Turned around, which was scary. And knocked out my Macargo. So I was like, well, shit. I think I lost. So I decided the idea, even though I had Regigigas, which was a crappy Pokemon at the time, I thought if I can try to cheese this Pokemon Regigigas, then that'll be amazing. So what I'm trying to cheese is Body Slam Paralysis, which is kind of an RBY thing you could do, or Generation 1 thing where you try to Body Slam, try to Paralysis, and then try to win the game from there, even though you have a Ground type, which was the plan. Knock off, get rid of the item. So no longer Fairy, and then Earth Power, Light Blown, or whatever. Body Slam, luckily guaranteed first paralysis, so it's already 2 turns. They went Draining because to get a little bit of healing, but rest of the damage. That's number 3. Number 4 is an Encore, boom, and then there we go for 5. Let's see, it's 5. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And fortunately, of course, I have to restart my slow start. which is not that bad. But as you see, we knock out the Grimmsnarl, even though we got rid of that. So I knew I was in a big bind. So I went Iron Gigalith, got rid of that, and of course, Mirror Beam, and oh yeah, knock out the Heracross, hit that damage on the Comfey. I'm like, I could do this, boom, do that, and heal off the damage. I went Earth Power for damage, and I was like, please, Hurricane, don't miss. Please, Hurricane, don't miss. Hurricane did hit, and I was like, want the second hit to happen, but fortunately, I wasn't able to get the first hit and the second hit on myself. I should have went Earth instead of Earth Power, whatever. So paralyzed on that. I was happy I got that, and then Body Slam doing about 31%. Paralyzed, and I was like, thank you, the lords of above, that Farf did not go for a switch to Heracross, which is probably the best move they could have gone for. They went Heracross, they sacrificed it, and I'm like, all right, all my eggs into the Iron Boulder basket. I do not need to lose this game. So an Iron Boulder, so they went Muck. So went Zen Headbutt, which was the smart move. It did that, lost HP, did that. So basically, this was the negative of Zen Headbutt. Always, it can be a miss, so I had that. I went Mighty Cleave. I'm like, you know what? I went for the guarantee hit. Flareon was there. So I was hoping, please don't be like a Zacian or a Eternatus or whatever. But fortunately, I got, the best case scenario, which was a fire type getting absolutely obliterated by Iron Boulder. But it was the best case was like Flareon, Reshiram, something like that. And the worst case was like Zacian Crown and all that stuff. So excuse me, like I'm glad I got the thing where they got Flareon, because that means they guaranteed their loss. And of course, at this point, Nintendo was not very happy that they made finals and stuff like that. So whatever this goes, GG's, and said GG's. And of course, for Farf, what I could have done better was not resting on, well, not resting, but letting the, couldn't not wake up. But the best move I could have done was, I kind of knew in my mind, like, yeah, ground would have been a good Terra, whatever. What I should have done was, I should have not had let Comfey get, I mean, the only thing I could have done was not let Comfey, not let Comfey, try to go for Hurricane over Earth Power and try to take down Comfey faster. That would have been the best move I could have done rather than them trying to synthesis or whatever. So it is what it is. So yeah, that's the end of the round. We have one more round after this, and we're going to be a great finale to see from there. And we'll be right back with that finale. So see you then. Alrighty. We're in the finale of the Salad Verse tournament, and who do we know? Quinn, the gamer that they are, they made it to the final round against me in grand finals. If I win this set, and at the time it's around 9:30 or whatever, if I win the set, I beat Quinn for good, and I win the tournament. If Quinn wins, the tournament bracket resets. So as you see, I went Torkoal. Not a very good start against Donphan, but I knew, hey, at least got rocks and everything. It's like, we meet again. So yeah, we got that. I went to my immunity, which was Yanmega. And of course, if you don't know the lore about Yanmega, this is the Quack Lord Pokemon that absolutely decimated me and made my worst loss ever. So at that, Ice Shard's there, of course. Speed Boost is there, and that's kind of the part where I'm like, I need to get him down. Rapid Spin's there. They're kind of scared on that front. I'm like, yeah, they're not wanting to get absolutely obliterated. Ice Shard's there. Bug Buzz is second turn. Critical hit. I think it would have been 2 more hits rather than that 2 hit or whatever. Of course, Bug Buzz hitting the Lapras 25, so I'm thinking they were AV, which is probably the best move on their front. If I guess say so myself. Even though I got Air Slash, this is kind of their thing. It said the flinch, no, because they were scared of the flinch, basically paraflinch and stuff like that. I went Dialga. I was not risking Terra just yet because I was keeping my options open. Went to Torkoal on the field. Went to Torkoal on the field, did that, and bada bing, bada boom. That's kind of what they do. And of course, it's been on the front. Get rid of the rocks as it was not. Yeah, that's probably my best move. I went Draco on that, barely doing anything to the Dialga on the first Draco. So that was kind of my best move. It went Skull Villain, which is kind of a thing where I was like trying to leech seed the Dialga, the best move. And they swap. I went to Torkoal on that, and then went Flamethrower. So I knew, thankfully, if I got rid of the sun, that means they get absolutely obliterated. So got the miss on the Powerball, unfortunately, which I was like, please don't miss again. Please try to let me win. And then boom, critical hit, 100%. We still get a KO'd, but it's like, yeah, so it's like helping out pulling the killer axe. Of course, trying to have the take heart Fion. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get my defenses up, try to get that. And I realized, sure, and Fion was like that, but Fion's defenses were not good at all. So I thought it was a KO. Got the lefties, Nazi was there. And unfortunately, I got psychic out. So it's kind of on me that I lost that. So I went, yeah, Mega. Trying to protect because it was like 78%, all that other stuff. So I tried to knock out the Meowsky. Goodbye to that. Boom. Which was not really the smartest move. They had the competitive stuff. And I realized, yeah, this Yan Mega set's not good. I went for Alligator. I went to this. But hey, you stole my Lizard, which because he is a Komodo or whatever. That's because it's a little furry server or whatever. Got rid of that on the Dragon Dance. And then knocked out because of Life Orb. Because Life Orb is not a very good item. And of course, it's ever bulky for frail Pokemon. Of course, I went to Ice Punch on the Flash Cannon, which will 2-hit KO, so it's a half speed. I kind of wonder whatever. It was kind of whatever. Is it paralysis because speed? Yeah. So after that, I'm like, you know what? I have a chance now because I'll save up the end game because of the likes of what's it called? Saving up the end game because I knew that my Pokemon Claritzer could have knocked it out. And I think Aurasphere would have won the game. So yeah, I think it was like, yeah, it was Specs. So I could have knocked out, boom, boom. And then Lapras was the last mon. And I beat out them with that. So yeah, very clean game. I kind of should not have talked about that. And then Tim was still trying to root for Quinn and everything. So, and Quinn was like, man. So that's the thing. I'm like, you know what? Good games to Quinn. They played really well. So I went and move on to game number 2. And I was just skip forward pretty easily because nobody's there. Of course, the same reason why I lost the Pixel. Of course, they have Water Absorb, not unaware. So I could have paid attention to that. But yeah, I was like, oh, not, and then I have the Glaceon. Glaceon was messing me up, even when I had the Sticky Web, this. And it's like, I lived that. And then Glaceon, yeah, you live that because Glaceon is a bit bulky, even though it's my fault I had that. It got frozen. So the frozen stuff was like, it's like freeze. That's so sad. The freeze, no. And I kind of knew myself. I'm like, I have to lock in. They were sad, but I deserve it. Of course, the non-Sparks getting absolutely obliterated by the Glaceon, which was sad. But yeah, to Terra Absol and everything, the Terra Absol. I mean, there's your pride. There's your thing. There's your Glaceon that you love so much. Here's the thing. Your pride, your Glaceon. It helped break the rest of my team. So be happy that you finally got your chance because it's good at random battles somehow. Even though Quinn was like, please stop flinching me. Even though it was like it was degenerate, but at the same time it's there. And there's my game losing situation. Mudsdale. Mudsdale's there. Body slam. And then of course Terra goes. And Terra Steel and try to headbutt. They couldn't do much on that front. And then flinch. And then glare. And then Bruce. And then yeah, there's nothing we could really do against this Pokemon. So at this point, I'm like a fast forward as I try to ruse, try to do this, and I lost the game against Mudsdale. Is it GG's for game 2? Is it GG's? And left. So it's all up to game number 3. Do I lose the set or do I get reset? So let's see what we can do there. As you see, we go this. We go Tentacruel. Very scary. They want Ampharos. Poor matchup, but it's the best. And the thing is, they're asking best of 3 or best of 5 because, tournament finals and stuff like that. He's a Smash player, so he's more used to that. And Farf was like, you know what? It's best of 3. Ninten was like best of 3. I said best of 3 if I remember correctly. That's what because all rounds were. And of course, you see here, of course, Tentacruel was there. I went to Groudon. They did Agility, which was scary. And of course, they were Dazzling Gleam Agility, trying to get rid of that. And I think their last move was Focus Blast, which kind of was scary. And they get knocked out. I don't think I had rocks, but Thunder Wave was there. I should have had whatever move, but yeah. I had Dragon, Dark Pulse to knock out Groudon was like kind of not a good move on my front. But I had Baxcalibur, which is super, super scary. They have Necrozma, Dustmane. So on Terra Dragon, Earthquake to get the knockout, hopefully. And I get Weakness Policy, which was super scary. Of course, they get themselves the Sunsteel Strike being +3, but it barely did anything to that. I think it was a roll to kill, and then of course Quinn was so frustrated on that front, and I want to apologize to him about that because I know that that's extremely infuriating, and I felt that too, which is kind of a thing too. It's like that didn't kill, and it's like this is so ass. And then I kind of told Quinn and them like, sorry, I had to clock out, and they said all good, and that's where Nintendo's like, clock out? You were at work playing this? And I'm like, and my mom like, duh, I was working the whole time. What do you think? And look at that right there. And look at Nintendo being a little bit unaware. Having that, boom, having the sucker punch there to knock me out. I'm like, yeah, this is probably the set. I can see this is the obvious set. FC Bomb, Spore, and all that stuff. So they're kind of mono grass, bulky support. Like, there's just Swana's there. I swap out Swana because that is my Mon. Because Sleep Claws is not there. I mean, Sleep Claws is there, but they're kind of trying to do that. And when Go-Go, Seed Bomb's there, Sap Sipper. And, of course, they're like, Sap Sipper, that is a read. They said, that's a read. Anime, ass pull, anime read. Not really a read. Because I was like, yeah, it's a read, but not really an ass pull. Because I knew in my mind, Go-Go was obviously there. I mean, either way, Crunch or whatever, it's still effective, but it's a bulkier Pokemon, so I was able to set up and everything against it. Even though I knew that he would not go for Crunch or Sucker Punch, he would probably more likely go for, say, Seed Bomb, because water hits most of my Mon, so I had that. So, of course, it went bulk up, doing that more damage, and see there, boom, they swiped to Hydreigon, and I said, it's a tough, it always has it. Grass Pelt is a bad ability, which I was completely honest. Like, it is a bad ability. Like, why did you want to expect it? Of course, it went Fire Blast, barely doing anything, 75%. Rock Slide did a crap ton of damage, but unfortunately, Quinn's luck had ran out probably, and boom. Rock Slide happened, and Hydreigon got knocked out. And of course, I had the idea at Rapska. Oh, yeah, there's the thing. And it's like, oh, yeah, Grass Petals. There's a Grass Petals. My bad. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I was basically apologizing for the Fire Blast. Milk Drink for that. They Bug Buzz, which is not really the smartest decision. And then, of course, let's try again. Of course, Lizard Bias. And, of course, Lizard Bias because of that. I didn't go into Cross Note, which is pretty a smart move because I have a Mon that's physical and set up. They go that. They go Terra Steel that. And they go for Flash Cannon. Critical hit 46%. I decided to sack it off because it was a smart move. Looking at that. And I went to Arm Rouge knowing that I had that move. And I knew in my mind, yeah, this is that because of the same move thing multiple times. I knew it was either Choice Specs or Choice Scarf. No, it's not Choice Specs or Scarf. It was Choice Specs. I'm like, yeah, this is probably the best move because I knew this was going to hit Swan hard. So I knocked out the Hydreigon, which is probably the best move. And they went to Go-Go. They went to Brute Bonnet. I knew in my mind I had to go to Brute Bonnet. It went to Sucker Punch, failed, and of course I went Milk Drink to heal up my move. It went CC, pretty smart move in that front. So there were that Close Combat, Seed Bomb, Spore, and Sucker Punch. There's no really crunch right there. So they went Spore, trying to sleep, and they forgot again, which is kind of on, not really on them. It's just they were kind of like they forgot about it, and I'm like, yeah. So that Rock Slide for turn 1, and there's a thing. So it's Jover. So what happened was, hold up, and the whole thing was, oh yeah, I see why. Mintan was getting really mad at the fact that I was playing safe on the Milk Drink, which I was like, I was trying to guarantee my win. And here's the thing, I learned from Iger, I learned from Sam that you have to guarantee your win no matter what. If you do not guarantee your win, then you're pretty much set up to lose the game. And I knew in my mind that, and I don't think that Tentacruel would have won against Brute Bonnet, knowing Sucker Punch and all that stuff. I mean, I had Sludge Bomb guaranteed, but I didn't know if Sludge Bomb killed, depending on the Tentacruel set. So I couldn't trust it. Of course, Sucker Punch would obviously KO the likes of Armor Rouge. So that's kind of my plan. And Milk Drink plus Bulk Up after a Sap Sipper thing would have KO'd the Brute Bonnet. So that was the case there. I won the tournament. I played without losing a set. even though that what's it called? Nintendo hated the fact that I played very good and I played defensively on the end. So and then I stalled out a couple of games that were kind of that. So the lesson is that play to your end, but like don't be a dickhead about it. That's kind of how it is. Don't be a dickhead on your plays. Like, and the whole thing was I could have done to style on Quinn was set up my go heal it up all the way, try to do everything, plus six, and basically beat up Quinn from there. I didn't do that because in my mind that is representative of a a dickhead. Also, it represented that it's a douchebag move, it was a dickhead, and also another thing too is that he was playing arrogant. And yeah, they thought it was arrogant, but knowing that there's other people in the world that would stall on them, set up them to plus six and everything, I did my best to play safe, play my outs, but at the same time, try not to be disrespectful BM, which I didn't feel like I BM'd in my opinion, but if I did in your opinion, I apologize to that front because I was only playing to play safe and play my outs. But yeah, what do you think about this tournament? Comment down below of what your favorite moment was for each thing. And how do you think about this scary comeback that they did against the Farf? So what's your favorite Pokemon in this tournament? My favorite Pokemon had to be Iron Boulder with that set. Because the comeback, Carbink, or even the likes of Go-Goat being a comeback savant. So yeah, y'all stay safe, y'all. Y'all have a nice one. And out.